The New York Jets have released their first unofficial roster iteration ahead of the 2025 season. Hello, everyone, and welcome into Next Gen Jets alongside Chris Grasso. I'm Josh Woolever. Today, we got a ton to break down regarding the roster and how it was. The man who was at practice yesterday, Chris Grasso. How we doing?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to break this down for you. And despite what people may think, this is not as significant as it seems. It's unofficial. It's put out by not. It's not close to being official. So it's not something to be overreacted upon. So yeah, I'm excited to break it down.
Absolutely. It's just our initial reactions, initial thoughts, but I guess you could say it's somewhat official. Put out by the New York Jets themselves, so that's got to have some sort of street cred to go along with it. But initial thoughts, initial reactions, this is not a 53-man roster. This is just a depth chart of sorts to see kind of where the team stands on who goes where. Obviously, just a small start, small step until we finally eventually reach cut down date. But I will pull it up on the screen for us. The first depth chart. Chris, what initially jumps out to you?
So the first thing that's kind of weird is Jeremy Ruckert is tight end one over Mason Taylor. And obviously, I've been outspoken about this. Mason Taylor has had a fantastic camp in my eyes. He's one of the few guys that have absolutely shined. And looking back on the draft, I know you were a big Membu guy. I was a big Warren guy. Looking back on it, I think Membu was the right choice overall. So I have no problem admitting when I say something, I go back and I think it's wrong. I think Membu was the right choice. I love how the O line is looking. I think it's going to be a huge part of this offense. But yeah, Rucker at tight end one is a bit concerning. Mason Taylor is obviously going to hold that spot, which just proves how this is not official. I mean, it's put out by the people who cover the team. I'm not sure the specifics of it, but it's not put out by. That's not official. But yeah, that's weird how Jeremy Ruckert is right there. I just don't get the love they have for Ruckert, the love they have for Clemens in the defense. It's a bit weird, but we'll have to figure out what their thought process is going into the season. But Rucker, I can almost assure, is not going to be tight end one. He shouldn't make the team in my eyes, but the fact that this is like this is pretty surprising.
I mean, Long Island boy shining through. Chris, I'm so glad you can admit that I had the right pick on draft night. So thank you for that. This sort of seems like in the tight end room. I don't think this is what the snap share is going to look like. I kind of just think they tossed Ruckert out there because Mason Taylor's a rookie. So I think that would be the reasoning behind it. But you're right. I mean, if Ruckert is anywhere near getting tight end one reps come the start of the regular season, the Long Island boy favoritism is going to be shining through stronger than ever. Another thing that I am looking at, and I know you talked to me about this a little bit backstage pre-show. You take a look up at the wide receivers, and Malachi Corley.
Well, I actually, as you read it, I noticed this. I read this wrong. So I thought the receiver at first, when I first looked at it, I thought went Wilson 1, Malachi Corley 2, Arian Smith 3. But look, when you go down the first list, you have
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson,
Lazard and Reynolds.
Lazard, and Reynolds, and then after that you have the receiver room in theory looks like Garrett Wilson, obviously Lazard, Reynolds. That's kind of how it expected. I thought Reynolds was going to be 2, but Lazard is 2 here. And
Well,
then you have
that's just at a different position. That's not first, second, third. That's just Wilson at. And that's just SYZ.
Wilson had one of them. Those two immediately starting behind him. And then you have Corley as the highest end backup, and then you have Xavier Gibson, Tyler Johnson, and Arian Smith. So and then you have Pritchett and Brandon Smith all the way at the bottom. So well, I think this receiver room should look like. I think Corley should make the team. Depends on how his attitude is. So obviously you have the big three in our receiver room. I don't know if you can call Lazard and
Big
Reynolds.
three, the big one.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call Lazard and Reynolds big, but the big one and then the other two.
The medium too.
The medium two, Lazard and Reynolds. And then you have, I think Corley should make it. Pritchett should make it. And then outside of that, I don't think there's any guaranteed. I mean, Corley isn't a guarantee. Then you have Brandon Smith, who could also show something. Tyler Johnson. So really, there's a bunch of options at receiver. Depends on who shows out. And the other thing that really surprised me is you can go all the way down to special teams, and you see Xavier Gibson as a lock to be, I think, kick returner and punt returner.
We'll get there in a second, but for the wide receivers, to me, at least to me, Chris, interrupt me if I'm wrong. Arian Smith should be ahead of Corley. Arian Smith should be ahead of Gibson. Gibson's a guy I don't want on this team personally. I think he doesn't bring you enough value in the kick and punt returning game. Like, I feel like you replace Gibson with that role with anyone else on this roster who's shown, flashes of quickness and ability to play the ball well in open space. Like, there's no reason Gibson needs to be on this team for me outside of that one game against Buffalo. He
And
hasn't.
by the way, that play on that kick return touchdown, I've said this before. Like one of the Jets players like tripped. It should have been a flag. It should have been tripping, and it should have came back. So the one good play in his career
Against the punter.
it isn't realistic. That should have not happened.
Are we
But
sure it was a full commitment to the trip, or it was a sort of ran into
all
him on his way down the field? Or we think it was intentional?
no, I thought that trip was intentional. No one was happier than me that night. Trust me, I was like jumping up and
Oh,
down. But that was awesome. But yeah, that the one good play of Gibson's career should have never happened. So Gibson, I don't think Gibson should be on the team.
right.
I want Corley over Gibson any day. Then Arian Smith's without a doubt a lock to make the team. That's not even worth discussion. But yeah, and how high Arian Smith could climb on the depth chart can be debated. I mean, he has a good preseason. I have no problem throwing him in at wide receiver 3 if he really turns heads.
Yeah, the wide receiver room, extremely interesting. Smith going to be something to keep out for, and Malachi Corley. To me, they're kind of in the same boat with this offense and with this scheme. You're looking at a new play caller and a new head coach, so neither of them are going to have last year favoritism. Malachi Corley didn't get the opportunities he deserved last season, even after dropping the ball on the 1 yard line. Arian Smith hasn't played an NFL game. To me, they're kind of in the same boat where they haven't gotten the opportunities. I think they both have a very high ceiling. But a very down to earth floor. So to me, Corley and Smith are two guys that you could see go in anywhere on the spectrum from being the bona fide number wide receiver 2 on this team to not getting reps by the end of this year on the team. A place where a lot of eyes are being drawn. The only fullback on this depth chart right now is Andrew Beck. This is a guy that I want on the team. I think he brings significant value. I want to hear your thoughts, Chris, and then I'll tell you why I think he finds a good role on this team. But is this a guy you see making the 53? Like, the fullback is a dying position at the NFL level in football. Do the
Yeah.
Jets clear roster room for Beck to be on the squad?
I couldn't assure you. I couldn't say, oh yeah, this guy's making the team. I'm not confident that he will, but the thing is, it would make sense. I personally would like him to be on the team because remember at the green and white scrimmage, we saw him line up as an inline
Oh, I
blocker.
wasn't there.
Yeah, so when I was there, I saw him line up as an inline blocker, and I think that could be super helpful for this team, who obviously lacks like skill at the blocking. No, lacks blocking skill in the tight end position because not really. Our Mason Taylor's not a blocking specialist. We know Jeremy Rucker doesn't block well. Stone Smart's more of a big receiver. So I mean, where we lack that blocking in the tight end room, we can gain through Andrew Beck, who looked good blocking. So me personally, I like to see him on the team, and it would make sense with our scheme to our run first offense, which that's really where I think it makes the most sense.
Absolutely. To me, this is a very run heavy offense. So it makes sense. You want to run a triple option? Perfect. Boom. Fullback. Like, can Braylon Allen push the fullback role as a big frame, strong running back? Yes. Is it still beneficial to have a guy that can basically play the tight end position while lining up in the backfield? I think absolutely. You mentioned his blocking upside, Chris. I'm going to mention what they can do on option plays with Justin Fields back there, a first dynamic runner since Zach Wilson's been on this team, and even I think that they underutilized his skills there. And also, he can be a pass catcher. So you got a 3-for-1. You're talking about a Jets team that has a ton of decisions to be made. I think you want to maximize your roster space with guys who can do the most for you, who can be versatile all-around players. To me, Beck fits on this roster. I think Aaron Glenn likes him as an old-timey, hard-nosed player who can commit to the culture of the team. To me, Beck has a role here, and I think can be very beneficial to this team.
I
Before
love
we
that.
move on to the defense,
Yeah, I was about to say I love that analysis, and plus, like if we're in a 4th and inches, first and
right?
goal, whatever 4th and goal situation, if we have that I formation with this guy, then Braylon Allen rushing the ball, like that is dangerous. That is dangerous.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even if he's not getting the football, He could be a perfect lead blocker. He's clearing out a linebacker. He's clearing out a safety coming out from the box to try and blitz. He'll help protect Justin Fields. I think this is a very valuable use of a roster spot. Down to the running backs we go. We're Kane and Wangu. I mean, the first three are set in stone for me. Kane and Wangu over Donovan Edwards is interesting. And Wangu for me is kind of in the same boat as Gibson is. Like literally only gives you kick return upside. So, and he's not going to get any offensive snaps. And then you got the UDFA Donovan Edwards behind him. But to me, it feels like taking more than 3 running backs on this team and then also taking Beck, who plays the fullback role. That's 4 rushers right there. Does it make sense to take another who would be a straight special teamer?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to weigh in. I was about to say the only benefit this guy Nwangu has is on special teams because we're not going to see him get any rushing attempts. The running back slots are already feel like having 3 quality. I feel like the 3 we have in Brees Braylon and Isaiah Davis are very quality running backs who are all going to get their fair share of touches. Like it's not going to be like a normal NFL team where you'll give touches to mainly touches to your 1. You'll see your 2 get some, and then your 3 is almost like unheard of unless there's injuries. Like all 3 of them are going to get significant reps, and I definitely don't think there's a need for a 4th there. And if what I'm seeing, based on what I'm seeing at camp, Donovan Edwards offers. Well, I can't say this in special teams, but if there was going to be a 4th running back that makes the roster, I think it'd be Donovan Edwards, and Nwangu is basically only good for his.
Edwards could definitely be a practice squad guy in my eyes. Like
He's a good practice squad guy to have.
If someone gets injured, I feel like that would be a good call up to make. But just having him idle there on the 4th roster spot.
Yeah, I didn't say I wanted. I said I said he's a better pure running back than Kene Nwangu.
Right. No, I'm not saying that you were a proponent.
Yeah.
Just in my eyes, like him stalling as a roster space, they're just like what
you can use that. You can use that in a better spot.
For sure, for sure. Last thing on offense that catches my eye, another bubble roster spot guy who we're not sure about. Take a look all the way in that top right corner. Listed as the only 5th wide receiver on this team, you have another special teamer only in Irv Charles, a long tenured Jet. Chris, is this the year they cut ties?
It should be, especially if you're gonna keep Nwangu. Irv Charles should be cut, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because they're both special teamers. So I mean, I can get if you're gonna. I'm not sure you can get rid of Gibson, Irv Charles, and Nwangu. I mean, you have Pritchett to play punt return and kick returner, but you might want one more guy. So out of those 3, you're gonna have to choose one more. That's why I can kind of see Nwangu slipping his way in there. But I think this might be the year they say goodbye to Irv Charles. I think.
Yeah, Pritchett listed as a 3rd stringer. Charles listed as a 5th stringer. He dealt with injury concerns last year. The thing about keeping Nwangu over Charles here is that Irv Charles is a high-quality gunner in the punt return game, and Nwangu's a returner. So, I mean, do you want to flip him into a tackler? I don't know if that's going to be the easiest transition. To me, if you're talking about, let's say you have Pritchett solidified as your kick returner, which it seems as though the Jets do, he's listed higher than any other guy that is in contention for punt returning besides Xavier Gibson. So let's say he is the bona fide punt returner.
He won both of those, which is weird. He shouldn't make the team.
Right. I just talked about why I don't like Gibson. But if Pritchett's your bona fide punt returner, then and you're taking a special teams guy to be a gunner, that's going to be Irv Charles over Nwangu, who's always been a kick returner his entire career. Anything else on the offense before we go to the defense? We have Adrian Martinez as a 3rd QB over Brady Cook. That ringing any bells for you?
I personally like that. I think Brady Cook has had his fair share of struggles. And when it comes to 3rd-string quarterback, or whatever this is,
yeah,
when it comes to 3rd-string quarterback, I don't care. I'm not putting my coins into upside at that point. I couldn't care less about upside. I just care about if you need the 3rd quarterback, God forbid, to step in, who has a better chance of winning you the game and who is just pure better at quarterback. So, at QB3 is not the spot on the depth chart to be betting on upside. It's the spot to, secure a win if, God forbid, you need an emergency quarterback. And by the looks of it, Adrian Martinez is kind of that guy. He's better as of right now because obviously we know Brady Cook's a rookie and he would need time. But at the QB3 spot, I'm not willing to put all my eggs into Brady Cook's basket when really if we know Tyrod Taylor is fragile. We know Justin Fields had a toe injury. I'm not saying Fields is fragile, but God forbid something happens to him.
I mean, he
And
got
then,
carted off earlier in training camp, so who
yeah,
knows?
God forbid something happens to Fields, and then Tyrod obviously goes down after like 3 games. I want the better quarterback finishing out the season, not the one who has more upside. So in my eyes, I have no problem with Adrian Martinez making it over Brady Cook.
Absolutely. To your upside point, which one of these two guys has taken professional football snaps? Which one of these two guys is been in experience beyond the collegiate level? I agree. If Justin Fields goes down early in the year, hopefully not, but if he does, I don't know about you, but I don't trust Tyrod Taylor to stay healthy for the next 14 games.
No,
I'm taking Adrian Martinez all day. Personally, I only think they're going to roster 2 and then have Adrian Martinez be like that quirky third string emergency guy that they can always call on if they need. I know the NFL made that rule a couple years ago, but I think you're right. Like banking on upside between your third and fourth string quarterback just seems like an illogical decision.
I agree.
It's just like, come on, let's take who we think can actually run this offense better, not who has the potential to be better down the line. You're listening to the Next Gen Jets show. Chris Grasso with me. I'm Josh Woolever. Smash that like, hit subscribe, throw all your questions and comments into the chat after we react to the defense a little bit in the special teams. We'll get to all those, so make sure you're filing those in. I'm going to scroll down a little bit to the defense end of things. Anything that initially catches your eyes?
I mean,
Jermaine
this
Johnson
actually,
at the
this I was
edge.
just because the injury, but Michael
Yeah.
Clemens at first edge. I mean, behind that is kind of what's can catch the eye. I mean, you have Eric Watts, Rashad Weaver in the edge positions, and Tyler Barron as third. I mean, listen, we have depth at the D line position is concerning. We need some of these guys to step up, whether it be Eric Watts, Tyler Barron, or Tyler Barron being our rookie. But in the D line, I think it's interesting that Brian Cohart is starting over Derek Nandi allegedly in this scenario. I mean, that's certainly interesting. Derek Nandi, the experienced veteran who's kind of sizzled out up to this point. He was good once upon a time, but he's that guy who can kind of eat space for you. So, I there's an argument to be made for Cohart, but I think he should be starting as the experienced guy. Our defensive line really can't afford to be as bad as last year, where we were letting teams run all over us on the ground. But I really like our secondary. I like our linebackers. And the safety room is a room that people often point to with the Jets and have doubts. While I do understand that I'm super high on Andre Cisco, him and Mason Taylor have been the two guys who I think shine the most throughout camp. I mean, Andre Cisco has been great, and he's someone I liked the signing from the get go, and I think that he has a chance to be an impact player on this team. And then Malachi Moore, your rookie, at the second safety spot. I mean, he has potential for sure. So I'm interested to see what this defense is going to look like. I think the defense is obviously. I mean, we've seen the defense win most of the days so far this camp, and while most of the time that does happen, I think our defense is obviously going to be significantly better than our offense. Our defense has like a bunch of talent at the starting spots, and where they're strong, they're super strong. But the problem is where they're weak and they don't have a lot of depth, and that can really pull them down if there's a lot of injuries. So we need guys to be able to step up, which is what we're gonna have to see in this edge room especially.
Absolutely. You touched on, a ton of stuff there. I'll start on the defensive line and edge spots. Jermaine Johnson, hopefully he can heal as fast as possible after that injury only a couple weeks into the season last year. Glenn has said he's hopeful that Johnson will be ready for the season, but nothing is confirmed yet, so that's why he's at the end of the rotation. Don't worry, that's not where he'll be by the time he's healthy again. I would agree. I would say Nandi would be starting next to Quinnen Williams, but man, there's so many question marks, so much to be curious about at this defensive line spot. The depth we're talking about here is undrafted free agents that nobody knows about. Like, what'll Peyton Page do at the NFL level? Who knows, right? So, God forbid Quinnen Williams goes down. We're talking about the quarterbacks going down. That's at least a position where you got valuable backups. If Quinnen Williams goes down on this interior, how the hell are the Jets going to stop the run? How? Who do we turn to?
The three most important positions,
Leonard Taylor the third?
Yeah, the three most important players that we cannot have get hurt is obviously one. I'm putting Justin Fields. That's how it goes for any team. The
Yeah.
quarterback you cannot get hurt. But after that, Garrett Wilson absolutely cannot get hurt, and Quinn Williams absolutely cannot get hurt.
Couldn't
You
agree
obviously
more.
can't. You don't wish injuries upon anybody, but those are the three who really need to stay healthy.
No hospital passes for Garrett.
Yeah, no,
No,
please, no
no
hospital,
fooling
bro.
around with Quinnen. No late hits on Quinnen, please.
Did
Please,
you,
because this Jets team is desperate for him to stay healthy. Derek Nandi and
yeah,
Leonard Taylor the third starting up front for you.
Dude, one thing I will say, I've been to 3 training camp practices this season. Every single one, Leonard Taylor was the earliest guy out there. He was the first man in. So that has to
Love
go
it.
for something, especially with Aaron Glenn as your coach. So yeah, but
Love
besides
it.
that, what I was gonna say was, I'm the number one Fields guy. I love Fields truth or whatever. Dude, some of his passes, bro, like there are not good spirals. He's throwing some ducks out there. It was mostly in warmups. I don't know if it's something to be concerned about, but he has got to get that figured out. Like Martinez was throwing better balls than him, so that cannot happen. He needs to get that figured out.
But I know the practice before the green-white scrimmage, all of the beat reporters were talking about how it was by far
He
his
lit
best
it up,
practice.
yeah.
So I wonder if that was just your was that during the actual scrimmage, or were you just seeing that when he was tossing around in warm up?
No, me. So I went to this with Connor. Me and Connor were laughing. It's like because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But like, but I don't. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue going into the season. But like some of those passes were ugly, man.
Absolutely. And we need Quinnen Williams to stay healthy, or else opposing teams are just going to run the ball and shove it up your A gap the entire time.
And the
Right
one
through the center guard.
yeah, exactly. The one guaranteed loss I can give you is
We'll have
versus
a
the
field
Ravens.
day.
Like
Right.
the Ravens lost because Derrick Henry and Lamar they're just gonna have a feast with our run defense. It's
Right.
we have to really the Jets have to be a tough team. We're not the team that's gonna overwhelm you with the offense with scoring points. We're gonna be the gritty team that needs to be run first, has a fantastic defense. That's who we need to be if we want to see success.
And look, Chris, even if Quinnen Williams doesn't go out hurt, which hopefully isn't the case, he's not playing every defensive snap out there for you. He's not going to go out there play 50 defensive snaps. So you still are, regardless, going to need guys behind him to step up. So absolutely big time concerns at the defensive line spot. Let's move into the secondary where we have some big time, I would call them question marks. At the quarterback spot, to me, why is Azareye'h Thomas not either starting or in the second wave? The fact that JBC is ahead of him, somebody must have typed something in wrong. Quantez Stiggers, this is a versatile guy that I want to make the roster just because you plug him in anywhere in the secondary, he's giving you value. So he's one of those moving pieces where you can sort of toss him around in different situations. He'll still figure out playing well. And then Malachi Moore and Isaiah Oliver. See, you got to be confident in these backup safeties. Malachi Moore, I'm going to be excited about him playing, but I still agree that Andre Sisto gets the start. What's standing out to you in the secondary, Chris?
I mean, if we're counting linebackers in this, I mean McCurry
are.
Ball. Yeah, McCurry Ball starting is interesting. I'm excited to see what he can do there. I like that. I do like that a lot.
Oh, you want him starting?
I like that. I like that. I do. He's a guy who shined for some special teams last year. I mean, him or Jamie Davis. I mean, I'm fine with either one. But McCurry Ball will be interesting. And then, yeah, I mean, I like to see Stiggers making the team. I love that. That's a safe bet for me. I mean, he should make the team. He's had a good camp. Brandon Stevens, I saw him have a good pass breakup on the green and white scrimmage day. That might have been positionals. I'm not sure if that was actually in the real scrimmage, but I saw him have a nice breakup in one of the drills. Then AJ Thomas. So, I mean, I like our secondary. I like what we have going on here, all the young guys. There is question marks outside of the starting two. We have Sauce, Brent Stevens, and Michael Carter. But besides that, I mean, I like our secondary. I mean, I'm not concerned about that.
Some people are getting concerned that Stevens is above the depth chart over AZ. To me, don't pay a guy $336 to come in and be a backup to a rookie. So I actually think this is going to be a pretty good start for AZ Thomas in his pro career. I think he settles in nicely. If not a full season, at least a half season of him not starting. He eases in pretty well, adjusts to Aaron Glenn's system. And he's out there by week 8, maybe in the starting lineup if he shows us enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a good. It's not a good mindset going in if you're expecting A.J. Thomas to start as a rookie. I mean,
Yep.
you just paid Brandon Stevens all this money. Glenn trying to coach him up, see what he has with him, and he's had a pretty good camp so far. I wouldn't say he's been a disappointment. I think he's playing solid or to more than solid. So that's what I like
Yep.
about that there.
And he's a middle third round pick. So while you'd like him to pan out at that point, at in the late day two stages of the NFL draft, you really never know. Last thing we had to break down before we get to your questions and your calls. A little bit of the special teams. Anything surprising? There's not that much to break down except that Arian Smith is fourth on the kick returning.
Yeah, and Gibson being first on both. I mean, if he makes the team, he probably will end up being the kick returner, punt returner. But the second he drops a ball, I want Pritchard in.
Mm.
The
He
second,
had
like I'm not trying to see that. Like we cannot have anything in special teams hold us back. We need our special teams to be solid throughout because the Jets aren't the kind of team where we can afford to have mess up on special teams. We're not going to be able to get that back. So it's important that we stay clean and make no mistakes.
absolutely. Gibson had trouble fielding punts in a couple games last year. The kicker makes sense to me. You don't get a 40-year-old Nick Folk if he's not going to start. Aaron
Yeah.
Glenn's been saying it's a competition at the kicker spot. Oh, I'll be blunt with you. It's not. Harrison Mevis, UFL signing off the street,
Yeah.
against proven veteran Nick Folk. Come on, Chris. This is
And
competition.
the thing is, in the in the green and white scrimmage, I'll mention this again. Mevis went like 0 for 4 from 40 and over out. So
Wow.
it was he was horrible. So Nick Folk is that's like the safest bet of all time. Nick Folk being it over him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the only punter left on the roster after they cut Kai Kroger, Austin McNamara. So we'll see how that works out. Didn't actually play professional football last year. So we'll see how that works out. Now to your questions, now to your thoughts. We'll wrap up in just a couple minutes, but let's get to a couple good time questions before we go. Let's see here. Can't believe Corley is listed as wide receiver 2, says Barney Miller.
Yeah, so that was like one thing. I read that wrong too when I saw it first, but it's not. So in this thing it goes Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Josh Reynolds, and then Corley as your wide receiver 4. Actually, because he's the first second stringer there. So you see
Right.
Garrett Wilson then go down, and then you see Lazard and
Yeah,
Reynolds.
Barney
You know,
cleared it up.
that would have been crazy. That's what I thought too when I first saw it.
Barney back at it. Arian Smith is going to beat out Corley for Garrett's backup. I mean, that's what I was saying. I kind of hope so, but to me, they're in pretty much the same boat. So I wouldn't hate it either way if one's getting a little more playing time.
Yes, I feel like if Corley catches a stride through this late camp and into preseason, like he can gain serious momentum and be such a good receiver, man. Because like it's such a shame if we have to cut him. What the story will be. I mean, and I have no problem cutting him if he has attitude issues. If he's not like if his mind is not complete with the team, I have no issue cutting him. We obviously want to get guys like that as far away from the team as possible. But if Corley, I want him to make the team. If that's not like the issue, if the issue is like the pure skill and he starts to show out, like I'm rooting for Malachi Corley and Arian Smith. The same thing, especially being a rookie that we just drafted. I'd love to see Arian Smith beat out Corley. I'd love to see Corley beat out Arian Smith. I want to see one of these guys emerge into legit players, man. Like we need wide receivers badly.
Chris, if we need these guys to get on the field and get reps so badly, are you a proponent of not having Alan Lazard start?
It depends. If Arian Smith has a great preseason, I'm okay throwing him in that wide receiver 3.
I don't think he does.
Because especially with our scheme, like there's the argument for the argument for Lazard starting is much safer because Alan Lazard is a better blocker, and we're going to be a run first team, so we're gonna need good downfield blocking if we want to break off big runs. So I mean that makes sense with Alan Lazard. That makes sense with Josh Reynolds. I mean I know that maybe in a better pure pass catching and getting open perspective that Arian Smith could emerge into something better. But for this year, I mean, with Justin Fields, what he is right now, and I'm not saying what he can develop, what he can't develop into, Kenner can't develop into, excuse me. But for now, I think it's important that Alan Lazard remains on the starting lineup. I don't like him. I don't like him as a receiver. Obviously, he drops way too many passes, but he needs if he's catching passes when they're thrown to him, but we can't ignore the fact that he's a good downfield blocker. And in this system, in this scheme, we're run first.
I mean, like, how much does a wide receiver blocking really help you that much? That's something that's left to be unknown. But to me, what I would say about Lazard is, yeah, he'll be all right to pretty good route runner. He has to just get the drop rate way down.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that concerns me is that Alan Lazard can't fix those drop issues. Chris,
And
this is an idea.
another quick thing on the receivers.
Yeah,
Like
go ahead.
we don't have like Garrett Wilson obviously doesn't have a good big frame. We don't have any receivers with like a big frame. And Lazard, if he would stop dropping passes, is that guy who's a bigger receiver and can go up and get balls for you. So that's another reason why, even though most Jet fans aren't into it, and I'm not 100% bought into that either, it would make sense for Lazard to be starting.
That's why it makes sense to me at least, for Stone Smart to be ahead of Jeremy Rucker, and obviously Mason Taylor to be ahead of the both of them. I hear they never put rookies high. That's what I have to imagine is happening in the tight end room. This isn't a direct reaction to your statement, Chris Grasso, about the tripping being the only reason the Jets won that Monday Night Football game. Barney says you can't sign with the announcers. That touchdown was legit.
Listen, Barney, I'm sorry, but if the roles were reversed and that was the Bills guy,
Ooh.
I wouldn't be able to live in it. I wouldn't be able to live myself. I'd be so mad that that didn't get called tripping. So I'm gonna be fair. Even though I was so happy that night, it was one of the great moments of the Jet fan. That should not have touched.
And then the next morning, when you realized Rodgers was out for the year, actually no, they kind of. I remember waking up that morning, and they were like, "There's a chance he'll be back for the playoffs." I was like, "Yeah, right." And of course, we never got to know because the Jets had no chance of making the playoffs.
Yep.
But
There's a thought that crossed my mind that Zach Wilson could lead us to the playoffs, and I was like, bro. And
I mean,
obviously, you see the next couple of games, and it's like, no. Oh.
I mean, Mike freaking White. Where was he to lead us to the promised land?
That was the biggest mistake. We should have 100% kept Mike White. I'm a Mike White lover, and yeah, that sucked.
I'm more on board with that. Was a little bit of rookie luck. Let's go to Nathan, who says, "I disagree with Chris. QB3 is a spot that probably won't play and can be developed. That is the spot on the roster where you do take your high upside guy who has a shot of being a big piece in the future." I'll respond to this right after you, Chris.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying with that. You have more time to develop him, but I'll bring up this again. God forbid Fields gets hurt and then Tyler gets hurt 2 weeks later. Like, you still have a whole ass season ahead of you, and you want the guy who's going to win you more games than the guy who has more upside at that point at the emergency quarterback slot. That's what my perspective is.
Absolutely, and Brady Cook is like, sure, you might want to develop him. You know, he's about to turn 22, and he's kind of a late bloomer out of college. To me, I think Tyrod Taylor is a valuable backup, but I also think he's a fragile backup. Like, at age, let me pull up Tyrod Taylor age.
Yeah, and while I'll throw in this quick
At
thing.
age 36.
Yeah, 36.
That's his birthday today.
So, but I actually gave like
Happy
a wrong.
birthday, Tyrod! It's his birthday today.
Tyrod. I gave a wrong example. So say pick this scenario in your head. It's week 18. Tyrod Taylor went down the previous week. Justin Fields was out for the season already. Do you want a shaky Brady Cook going? Sure. Or you want Adrian Martinez going in. So I'm not saying I have a bias towards either one of them. I just want the better quarterback in. So whether that be Brady Cook or Adrian Martinez, I think Adrian Martinez has had a better camp. So at that week 18 game that will cost us the playoffs or not, in this hypothetical scenario, I'd rather have the better quarterback, whoever that may be, not the quarterback from more upside.
Yeah, Tyrod's health on the field's a little bit shaky to me. Adrian Martinez has the pro football experience. King Jamie the Mad. Hi, boys. Sorry, I've been gone a while. We appreciate you tuning back in. We appreciate all you. Smash like, hit subscribe to the 16 of you right now in the chat. Before we wrap up, in just a little while, a couple more of your comments, though. Rich comes in and says, every team is about 4 injuries away from a disaster, but I feel like it's a little bit exemplified with the Jets here with their lack of depth wherever you look.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That it's like it's shaky at that point. I mean, because teams with strong depth are really the team with strong depth and strong trenches. I can't talk. Are the teams that make it far. So we have the trenches. Now we just need to kind of build our depth the next couple of years, which is why making the playoffs this year will be so valuable. Then you have your guy in Justin Fields, you have your young core. Just grab more receivers, grab more G line depth, and you're a serious contender.
Yep. John, with our last chat of the day before we wrap up, Lazard is starting in the slot. Garrett Wilson and Reynolds are starting outside receivers. And that's the thing. So Arian Smith's going to have to leapfrog Reynolds for that role, which I don't think he will. But Corley, the supposed Yak King, I feel like he could line up in the slot pretty well. You get him a quick slant route, see what he can do after the catch. Something that we did not get to see at all last year. But just overall, the Allen Lazard drop rate is what's really concerning.
Yes, and one thing I will mention is we've seen throughout camp like a low, and I love what this Tanner Engstrand offense is looking like so far with the scheming receivers I've really seen in the past. Obviously, with Rodgers, the scheme was antique. I don't know a better word than that for the scheme. So I like seeing a better offensive scheme that will help more receivers get open. Obviously, help Garrett get the production he needs. And one thing I will mention is throughout the years, Fields wide receiver 1 has gotten a lot of production. And with that being Garrett Wilson, a player that Justin Fields is familiar with from college buddies, then I'm really looking for Garrett to have a big year, especially with the offense he's in with all the motion. I love it. Love it.
Chris, appreciate you coming on. All I gotta say is I hope Aaron Glenn doesn't lose less than 5 games because
my name is Grasso and I love the Jets more than everyone else. I am a highlight warrior. Aaron Glenn is the best coach they could have hired, but under 4 games won and he must be fired. I love every 2026 QB just based on highlights. I have watched 5 minutes of Nico's highlights and he is a Hall of Fame. Arm strength is all that matters. This isn't the same old Jets. THE 2025 Jets are different. Justin Fields is the franchise guy, or Nico will be drafted in 26. Highlights are all that matter.
Yep.
Appreciate the wise words of wisdom, Chris. And why?
Yes, I'm the Josh Woolever song right now, but listen, it's awesome.
I got it. You want to hit it? Well, let's hit it.
I love Josh Woolever.
Yo, my name is Josh Woolever and I love the Gamecocks. SC football in the game, green winning 1 weekend. There's nothing better. The Jets should have drafted Emma Worry in 25. Now they better take Sellers in 26. Jack always talking about touching the MetLife turf, but has he even done so yet? I am new to the Sunday show, but I am more than ready. Yes, Jimmy, I see yo, huh?
Beautifully said.
Yes.
By a man of wise wisdom. And why? And who will be the QB3? Let's just ask Jack what he thinks. Is it going to be Brady Cook, or do we want to look at it from...
You got to look at a realistic approach here.
And that'll do it for us on the Next Gen Jets show. Chris, appreciate it. Initial roster predictions. Feels like the season is just about here after your scrimmage yesterday, and the preseason games less than a week away. We really appreciate everyone tuning in. Chris, wrap us up here.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so ready for the Jets season to begin. The ups, the downs, the roller coaster emotions. Just bring it on. Bring on the misery, bring on the pain. I'm ready to be broken again. I'm all in on Aaron Glenn. Just don't lose under 5 games.
I think the video said 4, but Chris and everyone in the chat, really appreciate another great episode of Next Gen Jets. I can't wait, Chris, to be on with you and the other 2 guys after every post-game show so we can get your somewhat pissed off live reactions right after I'm sure the Jets lose in some way. Only the Jets could lose, probably on blowing a 30-point lead and missing the game.
That's over. Aaron Glenn.
Something like that.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn's watching the era of football away because with the referees in camp, it's going to take away the actual penalty problem on the field. So amen.
That's the hope. We appreciate you all tuning in to the Next Gen Jets show alongside Chris Grasso. I'm Josh Woolever. We'll see you all next Sunday for some preseason football. But until then, we'll end as we always do with one final Jet chant. Let's go, Chris. J-E-T-S.
Jets.
Good night, everyone.